Alia Jamal, the Heart Mentor, and we are meeting for our weekly workshop. And this week, the workshop is coming pre-recorded. And today we are talking about something that is, I would say, a little bit of a sensitive topic. I am queen of self-abandonment, and those are the wounds that are continued to heal. So today we'll be talking about how to end the cycle of self-abandonment. You might hear this and say, no, I don't abandon myself. And I thought that too. I thought that, I am a very self-present person. It wasn't until I started to really look into my inner world. And I will say I have been on this path for 10 years solid, and still there are places or moments in my life. So, one thing that I would invite you to do, listen to this with open mind, with a little bit of open heart, and just become curious. Imagine if you could be practicing self-abandon where it could be in your life, because our mind want us to be perfect, and it goes right away into no, I'm not that. Um, because we think self-abandonment is like self-neglect, you're not showering, you're not taking care of your clothes. And usually the woman who's abandon themselves the most are going to be the most fine looking classic ladies. Their clothing would be so up to the standards of whatever, like, standard we are holding on to. Perfect makeup, perfect hair, very slim bodies, perfect image. Those are the women who are abandoning themselves the most. And I know that with this workshop, my challenge would be, can I keep it under 30 minutes? Because I have a lot to say. Let's start with understanding what self-abandonment is, so we can understand where it lives within us. So look within you. Where do you say to yourself, I know everybody's talking, but I don't think so. My opinion matter. And then you like, shrink your opinion, or right before you're about to say it, you filter a few words so everyone can feel comfortable in whatever you're about to say. You don't want to ruffle any feathers. This is for us recovering peacekeepers. That is what we do, abandon ourselves day in, day out, because that's what good people do. Um, it also, when you feel something, you want to voice an opinion, you want to talk about something, you don't talk about it because you talk yourself out of it. Is it really worth it? Do you really have to say it? And that is the part I am still working through. It still shows up. It's a little bit easier to share my opinion, but when it comes to what do I want to say about this topic in front of me, um, that is where there's like a lot of talking myself out of it going on. So don't think that there would be a point in your life self-abandonment becomes zero. You just become really aware, and you can stay with yourself before the override happens. That is what changes. The next one is knowing, and that is a big one. You're in a relationship, it's not a healthy relationship, but you have talked yourself into because you're not financially independent, because kids are too little, or kids are almost going to college. It's going to be very inconvenient, but everything in your body saying, please leave. And then you sit with yourself, and then you sit with your girlfriends, your sisters, your mom, your mother-in-law, and then you talk about it, and they all tell you, well, the woman is the one who keeps the house, so you have to do X, Y, and Z. But what's happening? Something within you is dying, and you know it, and you still do nothing about it. You do nothing about it. Why you don't do anything about it? Because you don't want someone to reject you, because you don't want the peace to be disturbed. You don't want to be a bother. You don't want to be that, um, thorn in the beautiful bouquet of flower of your family. You don't want to stand out that way. And that is when you keep abandoning yourself. But why do women abandon themselves so much? Because we are conditioned to be good girls, get along, don't bother too many people, don't ask too many questions, don't create a fuss. And I do understand as a woman we have come along, but my friend, it still lives in us in a very modern lens. Right now, the biggest place where women are abandoning in themselves is injecting stuff in their face. And we call it self-care. We call it self-love. Let's get, your lips plumped up. Let's get these fine lines moved. Going to now we call it, before it used to be spa, now it's medical spa. Going to medical spa is part of your self-care. A lot of women, they invest a lot of money going to a medical spa, then really going for therapy or coaching or working with a mentor who would really help them own their inner world. That is self-abandonment in the current day and age, my friend. If you're stuck there, you know it, but you don't know what to do about it. And that is what I'm going to share with you. There's something you can do about it because when you live with self-abandonment, it's almost like you're suffocating inside. And the reason I can tell it to you, I have lived there. For 5 years, I talked myself into living in the craziest situation possible. Nobody forced it on me. I did that to myself. Why I did it? Because I didn't know how to be loyal to myself. That was not a skill I was taught. That is not a skill anyone teaches their daughters because mothers don't know how to be loyal to yourself. What we do know is how to be rebellious. That's not self-loyalty. Rebellion is not self-loyalty, my friend. If you think that you are going to rebel your parents, your family, and you're just gonna, go out and go crazy, you're still growing or acting as a response to the other person. You're still not coming as your true self. Self-loyalty, in a minute you'll learn it is a very different experience of life. It's an experience of stillness. It's an experience of acceptance. It's an experience of where you become comfortable in your own skin, where you have the capacity to love yourself even if no one will love you. And there's a specific thing that we do that gets you to that stage, and I'll share with you in a moment. Now, I would invite you to recognize within you, where do you abandon yourself? And then you can ask yourself why. And if you have hard time, you can always reach out to me and I can help you with that. I can help you recognize where do you abandon yourself. Look in your behavior. Do you talk like that? Oh, I don't want to be a bother. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just being so like, like this right now. But can you please do X, Y, and Z? Or when you're going into over explaining, oh, I have to leave early because I have to drop my child, and then I have to do there, then I have to go this, then I have to do that. You're trying to explain your decision. Anytime you try to explain your decision, of course, there are some situations where we are kind of required to explain. You have to explain to your child why were you late to pick them up because their nervous system is dependent on that information, like how calm it will stay or what they are going to make it mean about themselves. If you told someone that you're going to meet them at 1 o'clock and then you show up at 1:15, of course, that is the kind thing to do. Hey, I was stuck in traffic. I'm sorry, I couldn't text you because I was driving. Here I am right now. Instead of being overly apologizing and saying, I'm so sorry I made you do this or wait for me. I feel horrible. If that is how you talk, my friend, you are stuck in self-abandonment. I want to talk about what self-abandonment does to you before we go into how to heal it or understand more about it. It kills you from inside. You become a hollow tube that just exists. You literally become a zombie. That's what it does. And there are so many women out there who are running like zombies, but then we have a lot of numbing techniques. Alcohol is one, drugs is another one, depression and anxiety pill is another one, overtake of food is another one, eating a lot of dessert is another one, excessive shopping is another one, binge watching TV is another one, um, continuous traveling is another one. So you can see what we do to run away from that hollowness within us. We do a lot of stuff to run away from that hollowness within us. But what it would feel like to just be you and live and meet life where it is. Like, really experience this moment. How would that feel? That is what self-loyalty feels like. Your life could be very boring on paper, but you will feel a deep joy and excitement all the time. If I tell you about my day, it seems like a very difficult, boring day. You might think like, Alia, you do nothing for fun. But being inside of my body, how I interact with my life, every single moment is full of joy. I really get to experience life. And I can tell you this because there was a time I didn't. There was a time I was just waiting for the day to pass, waiting for the task to end because I couldn't connect with it, because I couldn't connect with myself. If you have very hard time connecting with people, feeling with people, you're disconnected here. That's why you experience that. So let's go into 5 different ways it might show up. So I know I shared with you how you talk and don't talk, and that could be one. So 5 different ways. See which one is yours. Which one is your way of abandoning yourself? Sometimes we have few, and I personally had all of them, and I continue to have all of them. Now, what has shifted, I stay present, and when it shows up, I catch it and I act in a different way. And that's what you'll do too. One, people pleasing. That is when like keeping the peace is very important. Fitting yourself in a box so everyone can accept you is very important. So it would be the way you talk or the words you use, the way you dress. Everything was very important. The day I started to change in that, my family had very hard time, and maybe they're still having hard time with that. Self-silence it. That is where you are about to say, what do you want? You don't like this. You don't like the chair you're sitting. Imagine, like, you're in a plane and you're on a 10-hour flight and you have this seat next to, like, maybe somebody who is not being very polite. Instead of voicing it, instead of, like, pushing that button and having someone come to help you, you just suck it up. You're like, what's gonna happen? I don't think so. There's any more chair avail or seats available in the plane anyway. It's pretty full. When you have that dialogue with yourself before you even speak, that's self-silence. And there's so many different forms of it. The next one is overgiving. You're giving because you cannot say no. If you look at the way I work, you will say, Alia, you definitely overgive. But I don't. I only share. Whenever I feel inspired, because at this point, I was just having that conversation with one of my clients this morning, I just follow orders at this point. My soul tells me, and there's no going against me at this point. We have already done many decades of self-abandonment. There's no point. If I go against my inner knowing, I get sick. So whenever I get sick, I just go back to, okay, 72 hours before I got sick, where did I not listen? to my higher self. So when you are giving, giving, giving because you cannot say no, it's too uncomfortable. What would they think about you? That is what selfish people do. You're not a selfish person. You're being so helpful. So you're going to say yes. That is overgiving, my friend. That is not sharing. Sharing is a very different way of being. And it has taken me a good 5, 6 years to understand what sharing is. Betraying your knowing, and that shows up at work, in relationships, the most. That is when you know this is a toxic relationship. You know this is not good for you. You know this is unhealthy. But leaving would be too inconvenient, too uncertain. Can you remember how many times we were working somewhere, we were so unhappy, but we stayed because how else am I going to pay my bills? That, my friend, betraying your knowing. We all know when you leave one job, another one open. Something else work out. You might be working 2, 3 jobs to make up for that income, but at least you're not betraying yourself, because the cost of betraying yourself is worse than going out and doing 3 jobs to make up for your bills. Um, the next one is waiting for external validation. So people who betray themselves, and I'm not outside of that circle, I come in that circle too. I just become very aware to choose a different path to go on. Because they cannot give to themselves, they wait for someone else to give them permission. So this is how it would look like. Um, A woman, she is working really hard in the house, outside, all day long, cleaning, 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 cooking, doing this, doing that. And then her husband come home and he sees that she's still in the kitchen cleaning. And he's a very loving partner. He'll go hug her, bring her to the sofa, and she'll be like, sit down, please take some time off for yourself. You work so hard all day. And then she'll be like, oh, okay. Yes, you're right. You're such a good partner. She'll feel so much loved. That is a woman who needs someone else's permission to tell her you can stop now. That is the woman who abandoned herself. And we all have been that woman at some point in our life. What a healthy relationship with yourself look like, you listen for the first sign of please give me rest. And don't override it by saying, oh, there's so many dishes to do, there's so many this, so many that. That's when we are overriding. Of course, some days there's going to be more work than you can handle, but you can rest and come back to it. You can rest and you can come back to it. You can rest for 10 minutes. Even if you cannot rest, you can talk to yourself while you're washing dishes at like maybe 11 p.m. Talk to yourself. Hey, what do you need? What do you want? Do you want to like work on this schedule so this is not how we keep living? And then giving yourself that. Don't wait for your spouse to come to rescue you, your kids, your friends, your siblings, or your parents. Don't wait for the world come rescuing you or validating what you want is real and true. A lot of the uh like you know a big reason we abandon ourselves because we don't trust ourselves. So let's talk about where it comes from. It always comes from childhood. You grew up in a household where if you expressed yourself, that led to some kind of punishment. It led to some kind of chaos or some kind of withdrawal. So maybe let's say you told your parents, I want to go on that school trip. They didn't have the money. So then they both start fighting with each other. See, we don't have any money. We can't even send our kids. So you're just hiding in the other room. You'll be like, why did I even say anything? Now this is unsafe. Or maybe you said that I want to go to my friend and it was a hard no. No negotiation, no nothing. It was a hard no, no explanation. And it was a no, no, no again. Or maybe in my case, or people who grew up with in my generation, maybe it was a slap, or maybe it was a flying shoe. Who knows? What was your parents' sort of way of punishing you? Right now, we can make fun of it and we can joke about it. We can create really funny reels about it. But what that kid realized in that moment, I cannot say what I want and still be safe. So as an adult, you don't say what you really want because unconsciously that feels unsafe. But when you act that way, that little kid who's still living inside of you understand it is still not safe. It's not safe to be within me. It's not safe to be with me. So what do? You escape yourself. You go you go and fill out that thing with something else. You go ask for other people's permission, their validation. Because when we don't feel safe within us, that creates so much pain. And if you have never felt it, I will say sit with yourself. I have felt it. It felt painful that I couldn't say yes to myself. I have sat so many nights saying, what is wrong with you, Alia? Why can't you say yes to yourself? And at the same time, crying and saying, I don't know how. And that is why I'm on the path that I am. I kept looking for mentors who will show me and teach me how to say yes to myself. I have felt that pain, and it's not fun. It's grief, sadness, emptiness, frustration, anxiety, all mixed together. It feels so big that you can't even feel it, and that's why we go for numbing activities. That is when we say, we are not happy in the relationship. We're like, oh, okay, let me book a trip with my girlfriends to go somewhere. And we think like when I'll come back from vacation, things will change. Oh, my friend, they don't change. You come back to same chaos waiting within you. Now, this loop that exists, if you want to come out of that loop, the way we come out of it is by choosing to be loyal to ourselves. The opposite of self-betrayal is self-loyalty. The way you nurture self-loyalty is stay present with yourself. Do not run away. It is very easy to run away. It's very easy to say this problem. I'm just gonna go outside of me. It's too much to go here. It's too much to be with her. So I'm just gonna check out. I'll just go ask everybody else how they are doing. I'll just be the polite, kind person in the party. That is very easy to do. So whenever you know something to be true in your body, naturally, as a woman, if you're in a woman body, your intuition is so much higher. That is a privilege that you get by as a soul coming into a female body because female body is spiritually elevated than a man's body. I know world has very hard time understanding that. Women have very hard time understanding that because we've been conditioned you're bad, you're unclean, blah blah blah. So it is very difficult, but that is the universal truth. Intuition is already there. It's already talking to you, but you have massive resistance to listen to it. So this is my first invitation to you. Just sit with yourself and recognize I am so resistant to say yes to myself. When you recognize it, you own it, you start to melt it. It might melt right away, in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, depending on the level of resistance. But first, recognize it. I know this is not a healthy situation for me, and I don't want to leave yet. And that's okay. When you start talking to yourself like this is much more honest than, oh, I think I'm being too much. No, you're never too much, my friend. You're always whole and complete. You're never being a bother to anybody. You think you're being a bother because that is how you were conditioned in childhood. So when you sit with that resistance, a pathway starts to open up to enter into your inner world, to connect with that child, to really be with that child. Because no matter what work you do in your inner world, there's only one work, and that is to heal your relationship as an adult with the child that lives within you. Because that child doesn't trust you, my friend. And the day that child can trust you, you can create whatever you want. Because the creative energy comes from that child and it gets channeled through your adult body. So just sit with yourself. I'm scared. I don't want to say what I really feel that will upset my mom, and that's okay. This is my most favorite sentence, and that's okay. What we are doing, we are validating what you feel. If you cannot validate what you feel, you cannot get out of this loop. First, you gotta give yourself energy. When you validate yourself, it's very simple. You just say, and that's okay. You feel this way? You feel anxious right now? You feel afraid? And that's okay. Don't argue with yourself. Don't try to kick yourself with whatever you do. Don't try to strangle yourself with your words and your thoughts. That just increases the damage. That means you have a toxic relationship with yourself. So we are shifting that into when you say, and that's okay, you're giving energy to your own self. And when you start nurturing the habit of giving energy to yourself, you stop seeking it from other people. Now, a lot of people, they just stop here. They're like, I'm fat and that's okay. I accept myself. A lot of people think that that is where you stop. But my friend, that is the opening of the doorway. Then you enter into that. Then you ask yourself, why do I run away from myself? Why do I overeat? What am I feeling in that moment that I go for that another shot? What is it that I'm feeling on Saturday night that I need to have 6 vodka shots instead of one? What is going on within me? And some of the people is going to think, hey, Alia, you're talking about alcohol and you're very visibly Muslim. My friend, we all struggle with it. It has nothing to do with your religion or spirituality. This is a human condition. We live in a day and age where numbing is very accessible, but feeling is very expansive. So, what do you feel that you go for the whatever your pacifier is? The day you have that feeling, you're like, I feel unsafe. I feel rejected. I feel uncomfortable. Or it could be like, I don't know what I feel. That's okay. Again comes back. That's okay. Now, what has happened, first we validated ourselves and we entered into our inner world. That child is not opening to you unless you start validating them first. They need to trust you a little bit to let you in. Then you go in and then you become curious. What do you feel? Why do you what you do? No judgment. No judgment, my friend. We are here shifting instead of like, hitting yourself on the head, you're getting into a habit of giving yourself energy. Very, very genuine, compassionate, curious way of connecting with yourself. I can tell you, whenever I go for a cookie, I'm feeling alone. In that moment, I feel alone because somehow the pain of everybody left me comes to the surface. I feel alone in that moment. And as a kid, at some point, I felt alone too. So, what do I need in that moment? That cookie or my own presence and validation and my own energy? Definitely, I need my own energy. So, this is how I approach it. When I'm about to go for a cookie, it's not that you have a sweet tooth or your body is full of candida. My friend, you have unresolved energy. And that energy is feeding the candida and all the stuff that lives inside of our intestine rent free. And it's not good for us and it's messing up with our whole system. Everything starts with energy. So, in that moment, I ask myself, why do you need a cookie? What are you feeling? Well, I'm feeling alone right now. Okay, let's take a deep breath and let's just feel it. Let's question it. Are you really alone? Is that true? Or is that the conclusion you have? Because that is the only way you make sense of your own life. See how it's opening up a little bit? And then I'll tell myself, hey, I'm here with you. I haven't left you. I'm here with you. And I would love you no matter what. Even if no one in the world will love you, I would still love you. And that little kid needs to see that. You can't just be saying empty words. I have some actions that I can back at this point, and I'll give you an example from my past too. And then when we have come to a place where that inner child can feel a little bit safe to be in my presence, and that little kid can feel like, yeah, she actually pays attention to me. Then I ask myself, do you still want to have cookie? Okay, now let's enjoy it. Let's not eat it because you were running away from something. Let's enjoy it. And my friend, I kid you not, I have eaten, I have been on, let's just say, a horrible diet for an adult, but not gained weight because I take myself through that process. And then I'm like, you want to have chicken nuggets? You want to have pizza? You want to have, my most favorite is cheese sticks. If I get a bag, I'm eating it all by myself. Want to have cheese sticks? That's okay. That's when your body does not hold on to that extra calories. Because in that moment, you're enjoying it. You're not numbing yourself. You're enjoying it. And that is the pattern you stay in. Be present with yourself. Validate your own feeling. Be curious. Ask yourself. Give yourself time. Let yourself be instead of trying to fit yourself in a box. Now, I would tell you how difficult it was for me to leave a relationship. That was not good for anybody. Not for me, not for him, not for the child. That was not good for anybody. It was a situation where it was very clear it has ended and everything ends for a reason. We live in such a beautiful universe where everything has its own purpose. The purpose of that relationship was over. I was holding on to it because I don't know how to be loyal to myself. I was just trying to protect an image. I was trying to protect my relationships with other people. I did not want it to be a bother or like, that black sheep in the family. I was trying so hard to stay in that box. And when it finally started to melt away, this is how it happened. I realized that I've been doing this to myself and I went to, and that's okay. That's okay. Next stage. Why have you stayed here? I don't know how else to live. I don't know what my life would be if this is gone. And that's okay. I understand this is very uncertain. I understand you have no role model. I understand you have no idea what will happen next. giving myself my own energy. But by that time, I was also exposed to the hard work, and that tremendously helped. And right now, I have put all that work in my Unlocked Heart program. If that is something you want to do, you're welcome to join it. So I kept giving myself that energy, and that's okay, and that's okay. And one day I got up and I said, this is it. I'm going for it. No one gave me validation. No one gave me a green light. No one said, "Oh, this is such an amazing thing you're gonna do." I got my inner child to be on my side because I had flipped that relationship from abandonment to loyalty. I a year before I made that decision, I was already going on um, weekly dates with myself, breakfast date with myself. I was going for hiking date with myself. I will go to the beach for half a day, no phone, no nothing, just be present with myself. That is how much energy I gave to myself, and that filled up. It filled up. And when the loyalty was there, when I was not leaving myself behind, when I was not saying, whoa, you're too much. That's gonna be too much. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Just stay here. So many other women do it. Why can't you do it? When I stopped all that gaslighting and I healed that relationship with that inner child, that kid who felt like she couldn't really be herself, when I told her, yes, you can, for long enough time, I made the decision. So I know that is a little bigger example, but I know so many other women are in that situation too. So let's just recap what we went through. We went through understanding what self-abandonment is, and I'm way over time. I already knew that. What self-abandonment is, how you can detect it within you, 5 different ways it shows up, and how you exit the loop is becoming loyal to yourself. First, you start validating yourself. You start giving yourself energy. Then you enter in your inner world and you become curious and you start asking yourself, what do you want? What are you feeling? And validate it. And that's okay. I don't want to leave this job right now. And that's okay. Don't even try to put any pressure there. And you will see that kind of loyalty will start to shift things within you. And it will become easier for you to say no. It will become easier for you to say no to sugar, no to your numbing drugs. It will become easier to just staying busy all the time and not giving yourself permission to rest. You will start resting because there is a deeper connection happening within you. You're more in your body than outside of your body. And that shift, my friend, completely changes how you experience life. And that is my prayer for you. That is the blessing I'm sending to you, that may you find the level of self-loyalty that you have never, ever imagined could exist. And another thing, when you're loyal to yourself, you attract people who are loyal to you. If right now you're finding people who betray you, who abandon you, or you feel like you have fatherhood abandonment wound or mother abandonment wound, all those wounds get resolved in one thing when you learn to be loyal to yourself. That is when you can nurture yourself as your own mom, as your own dad. And that is when you really get to experience who you really are. And if you're ready to go deeper in this journey, you can go to my website, aliajamalcoaching.com, and book a consultation. And I would love to be your guide in healing that relationship within yourself. So I will see you next Thursday. Bye.